Morning, Spencer.
Good morning.
Two great guests in studio as we Mondays, thanks to our great friends at our community credit union, have a Sheriff Sitdown. Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury, Chief Deputy Ryan Spurling. Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Good morning.
A little snow waking up this morning for folks, causing some inclement travel conditions to many, although the downtown Shelton area, not too bad. But the outlying areas, there's
That's what it
some
sounds like.
pretty good skiffs of snow here. Have you heard any further reports? We've been mostly talking about the schools and whatnot, but have you guys even heard anything?
I just watched what's on the news. I was thrilled this morning, though, to have Chief Spurling here, the guy that worked on Snoqualmie Pass. And I'll tell you, if there's not an expert guy in a community about driving in the snow, this guy worked on Snoqualmie Pass when he drove a two-wheel drive patrol car around up there. So he's your snow and driving expert.
What are some of the tips, the quick tips that you can pass along? Now, today it's starting to change a little bit.
Yeah.
Thursday we may get a little bit more. But what are some of the main things folks need to always be aware of when they get on the road in the snow?
Mainly just give yourself more time. Following distance, a good rule of thumb is a second for every 10 miles an hour. If somebody in front of you passes something, you count 1,001, 1,002 for every 10 miles an hour. That's going to give you what's called a reactionary gap, the ability to see, perceive, and react to a situation in front of you and give your vehicle the opportunity for the mechanical system and the brakes and everything else to hopefully take hold. But it's just a matter of giving yourself more time. Don't do anything fast. It was weird, but I worked Snoqualmie and Eastern Washington for 10 years, and most of the accidents oftentimes were uphill because people are accelerating, not necessarily downhill. So it's put your foot on the accelerator, put your foot on the brake. That's when things happen. Changing lanes, doing anything quickly, that's when things happen. So, and if you get in trouble and you start to break loose, it's a big important part is knowing your vehicle and the wheelbase and how much travel you have before you lose control. But a big thing is to just take your foot off the gas, take your foot off the brake. Resist the temptation to slam the brake on, because once your wheels are no longer spinning, you have no control to steer.
Wow.
So that's why the anti-lock brakes adjust it and give you an opportunity to steer even though your brakes are locked. So real important to just take your time. Make sure you have those extra things in your car in case you go into the ditch. I mean, I can remember a day over on Snoqualmie Pass where my crew covered 109 accidents in 24 hours.
Wow.
It was just the way it was up on the pass.
Yeah.
And if one area wasn't getting hit, it'd be Elk Heights or Menashtash Ridge going to Yakima, or Ryegrass going down to Vantage, or Blewett Pass. One of the other areas would be getting hit. And just be prepared for everything.
Yeah.
Have an extra blanket. Make sure your cell phone is charged before you get in. Make sure you know the areas that have coverage and those that don't. Have flares, warm clothes. Be prepared to walk.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The other thing is if you go off the road, keep your seatbelt on until you get away from your car, because more than likely, if you're in a glide path, somebody else is going to come straight down that glide path, just like you did, and they're going to hit you in that car.
Wow.
And just because you're not moving doesn't mean you need to have your seatbelt off. Keep it on unless you're going to get out and move completely away from your vehicle.
Oh, that's a great piece of advice.
One thing I'm not used to, but I'm learning real fast, is the number of pedestrians, like on Highway 3, especially at night. I turn a corner and I'm expecting maybe a deer, and I see a person walking right on the line.
In dark clothes.
It's just...
Without
Yes.
fail.
And there was a story yesterday we saw on the Grapeview Island page of somebody that was pushed out of a car, I guess, on Highway 3, and we were looking out for him, but somebody was out there in the freezing cold that got pushed out of a car, maybe an argument or something. But the number of people walking on that highway at night especially is just staggering to
That
me.
doesn't
You
make
have to
any
really care.
sense.
I actually gave the rest of them away last week. I have an organization that brings me traffic vests, the bright vests.
Yeah.
And quite often I've pulled over and see people, especially one morning, a lady was walking her dog. The only thing I could see was this movement in the road, and it was actually the dog on leash. You couldn't see her.
Wow.
I gave her one of those traffic vests. So I appreciate that company for doing that. We get those out to people. But like you say, when they're walking along the road, they're always in the dark clothing. I don't know how that always works out, but it's just extremely dangerous.
You're not expecting them.
Right, and you're not expecting them. What else is going on, guys? What are we going to talk about? We got quite a few things happening.
Totally thrilled today. I mean, it's just been it's one of those kind of weeks. It's just kind of a different thing. Chief Joe Vukic was a lieutenant with me at Thurston County, became the chief of the Skokomish tribe. He just retired after 45 years law enforcement experience. Tremendous individual, and to see Joe leave is going to be a loss for 45 years of experience. But at the same time, it's interesting that in that position, in walks Doug Smith, Deputy Doug Smith from the Mason County Sheriff's Office, will be sworn in today as chief of the Skokomish Police Department, and we are so proud of Doug Smith to be a member of that tribe and to be the police chief. It's just going to keep things moving, and we're very fortunate in Mason County to have great relationships with our chiefs of both tribes. But to have Doug go out there coming from our office, we're really proud of him.
So is he leaving the Mason County Sheriff's Office?
He's retired.
He retired,
Okay.
25 years.
He's retiring.
His last day was Thursday, and he turned in all his gear. It was pretty emotional.
I bet.
We'll call him Chief Doug Smith now, but I went to elementary school with Doug, and we always knew him as Dougie. So, I mean, that's probably most of us have called him Dougie his whole life, but he is now, this
great.
afternoon, will be Chief Doug Smith, and we're
That's
so
great.
thrilled for him.
That is real great. What else? What
We
other
got the polar
news
plunge
goes?
coming up.
Whoo-wee. I'm still trying to get Spencer to do this. He's
Well, I'm going to
It
do
may
it,
be
but it's going to
snowing
be
for us.
mainly the
Should have
clam
went for it
chowder.
today.
Clam chowder, you're
I'll be
doing
the
the clam
clam
chowder
chowder line,
station?
yeah.
yeah,
I'll
that's
be
a tough one. Tough.
I'm
Way to take it for the team.
tasting it, every hour.
Anybody wants to throw in, I'm pretty close to $500 I've raised.
Okay.
I'm just a little ways away from that. I've heard that there's a couple individuals that have really lit it up out there raising
Yeah.
some money. And again, that all goes back to not to the Sheriff's Office, it goes back to the Emergency Service Fund for police and fire for all of us. So it's a huge help every year if there's an equipment need. Like I said, I think before we talked, and a few years ago, I believe out of that fund was purchased a kind of like a wheel or a roller to put ropes over the steel bridge. So if we have to rappel down, and it's specifically built to latch onto the steel bridge on the railing there. It's a huge help for our responders.
So we start jumping at 11 on Saturday. It looks like jump time temperature's 35. That's
Ooh.
that's about
That's normal.
normal. That's what Stephanie was saying yesterday when she looked at some of the temperatures. She said, you guys will be fine on that. 35 jump time early at 11, and then by 1 it gets warm up to 38.
The only thing I'd tell you, Jeff, is that I've just done this thing every year for a long time now, at least every year since the first year I've been here for going to, I guess, starting 13 years.
Yeah.
Is you don't ever want to jump when everybody else jumps, and you don't want to be in the water at the same time because you're waiting for somebody else to get up that ladder. And let me tell you, when you hit that water,
Expedience.
You want out as quickly as you
I
can.
have literally seen people, I'm not kidding you, one of our former chiefs hit that water and I think came out of there dry.
Yeah.
He came out of that water so fast. I mean, it's cold.
It's a lot of fun and great organizations that reap many benefits over these 10 years now doing this thing. And so this Saturday, we'll be out at the Alderbrook Resort and Spa. It'll be a lot of fun for the Hood Canal Lions and that polar plunge. That'll be a good time.
Yep.
It's always fun to see you guys out there. And big thanks to everybody that not only jumps but helps jump. And then the emergency services that are there, those dive team, they're in the water the whole
Yeah.
time, basically just sitting
We
around
got a
waiting
boat
for
and everything
us.
else. Yep.
So they get cold for sure. So that's pretty cool. All right. Well, let's leave it with that, guys.
All right.
Some good
Thanks so
information
much.
today.